If you have a 2014 or later Cadillac ATS or CTS and you're not quite happy with the interior trim options that came on your car, well, today I'm going to show you how you can swap it out for other trim options or take them off and wrap them in vinyl. Up next. Now, if you weren't as lucky as I was to get the exact trim option you wanted in your car, I really love this carbon fiber weave in my Cadillac CTS V Sport. You may want to change up your trim. I mean, there were other options like the aluminum or the wood option, and wood is unfortunately kind of going out of style. It'll always be classy, but if it's not your aesthetic, you can swap it out. Well, thankfully, GM sells all the trim pieces that you could have opted for your car. Unfortunately, they're kind of expensive, between $700 to $1,000, carbon fiber being the most expensive, but it sure is nice. Now, you may be able to find the parts cheaper on eBay. Sometimes people take the parts off their car and sell them pretty cheap. Now, if that's still not your style, you can always take them off and wrap them in vinyl. And with vinyl, you have so many options. You can get any color you want in gloss, satin, matte. You can get different patterns. You can get faux wood grain, you can get brushed metal, chrome, and of course, carbon fiber looks. They never look quite as good as the real stuff, but they're not bad. So today I'm going to be showing you how to remove the trim pieces off the dash and the door panel in the front passenger seat of my Cadillac CTS V Sport. It should be the same for your ATS. That'll give you enough knowledge to do all the pieces in the car. Then I'm going to wrap it in forged carbon fiber vinyl by Vvivid Vinyl. Now, forged carbon fiber is very popular lately and it's on some of the most expensive cars. And of course the vinyl doesn't look as realistic as the real stuff, but it's not bad. I'm gonna do it just for fun because, like I said, I really love my carbon fiber weave. You'll see it's not too hard to take these pieces off and either swap them out or wrap them. All the details right now. To remove your trim, all you need is a plastic trim removal tool like this. Link in the description below if you'd like to buy some. Now, it's always nice to see what's on the back side of the piece you're removing, and in this case, there's these 5 metal clips. They go in with pressure and they come out with pressure. So to get started, find a place to get the trim tool in. I found this is the best place. Pry it up gently and then hold it with the other hand as you work the trim tool underneath the lower part of the trim. Be careful not to damage the metal below. Then just work it off and it comes out. It's as easy as that. Now, unfortunately, the passenger side isn't quite as easy and it has all these little plastic clips. These can break, and it took the second time of removing the trim for me to break one. But even on the third time, I didn't break any more and it still holds really tight. So again, find a place to get started, and I found it right here at this corner. Once you get it up, work the trim tool underneath and work it all along, but you really need to be patient with this one. It took me a couple minutes on the first try here, and it started to get a little annoying, and you want to force it, but don't. You don't want to break that nice trim. Work it all along both ends, and also be aware that, like on my car, I have the Alcantara, and it's sort of overlapping the trim piece, so it does tend to hold it down on the top section. As you work along the trim, you'll eventually have it all start to pop off, and then you'll feel comfortable to start pulling it with your hands and pull it out of the door panel. Alright, now let's get to wrapping the pieces. First, clean the pieces with a solution of isopropyl alcohol. This will ensure the vinyl sticks cleanly and make sure there's no particles that could be under the vinyl that will stick out. It's also important to wash your hands or use gloves to prevent dirtying up the vinyl. Trim the vinyl to size. I admit I definitely trim these a little too tight. I prefer to have about twice as much to work with. Now you can either lay the vinyl over top of the piece like this, or you can lay the piece onto the vinyl like this. I actually prefer the first way myself. This would have been a good sized piece of vinyl. I know it seems like there's a lot of extra, but you want that extra to work with to stretch and absorb any of the wrinkles that come at the corners. Next, use a blow dryer or a heat gun to relax the film around the edges of the piece. Let it fall gently over the edge and then press it down with your fingers. You don't want to just work it over with your fingers. Believe me, it works much better when you let it relax over the edge. Now this corner was the first challenge where I definitely wish I had a little more material. Heat it and gently stretch it slightly so that you can work all the wrinkles away as you press it around the corner. Over here on the left is a little bit of tension, and this can be removed with just a little heat. Now that we got some heat on there, it relaxes, and you can continue heating the edges so that they fall over the edge and you can press them down cleanly. Besides practicing, a lot of what I've learned about wrapping with vinyl is on CK Wraps and other YouTube videos. Be sure to check out the link up at the top right corner or in the description below. The CK Wraps channel shows a lot of wraps, and they're long videos, but it's really incredible to see him wrap all the parts of cars. Now the end pieces can be the most difficult. It helps to heat and gently stretch in two directions away from the corner to get all the wrinkles out, and then work them around the corner. You won't need much to hook it around the corner as long as there's enough adhesive and it's clean. This corner was definitely challenging too. Again, I heat it and then pull in two directions away from the corner and then let it cool and shrink around that little tip. The natural shrinkage around the tip sort of shrink wraps it to that corner. Once you're happy with the wrap, trim up the piece to get all the excess out of the way. And then don't forget to do post-heating to ensure that the adhesive has secured itself to the piece for a long life in your car. Installing the dash trim piece is pretty easy. Just lead the upper edge under the dash and then snap it in place with a little bit of pressure. Now because I didn't try too hard in wrapping this, some of the vinyl started lifting as I put the trim piece back in, so I just used the trim removal tool to gently tuck the vinyl back underneath. After I was done with that, you couldn't even tell it came loose. As for the door panel, it's a little different. Notice that there's this L-shaped plastic piece. This needs to be hooked in and then all the other plastic pins aligned. Once you feel confident they're aligned, try to push in the upper edge of the trim piece first, and a little bit of pressure will snap those pins into place. Remember, be patient. Try not to break those plastic pins. Then over here on the right, it's not completely seated, so I'll lock that in. And now it's fully installed. Alright, that's it for customizing your interior trim accents in your Cadillac ATS or CTS. Not as hard as you thought it was, right? You know, this forged carbon fiber doesn't look too bad. I kind of like the satin finish in the car. It gives it a different dynamic, but I'll probably still go back to my gloss carbon fiber weave. Alright, if now you think you can customize your trim no problem, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe, hit that bell to be notified of when my next video comes out. Thanks so much for watching the Jet Fuel Only channel. See you next time.